Welcome back to Coach's Corner. We've talked about high stepping. Now we're going to talk basketball and track with Alan Hibler, who is our head boys basketball coach and also our boys track coach for the upcoming spring season. And we'll kind of start with the basketball season, where the boys basketball team ended the season, but not without a fight, losing to Bartlesville in the regionals, 52-40 or 51-42, a close ball game, Coach.
Well, I thought we played really good. I mean, we were really solid the first half. Final score was 20-16 going into halftime. We'd scored right at the buzzer to cut it to 2 points and gave up a layup right at the end. Just not a very good job at transition defense. But, we were right there with the chance, and that's where we wanted to be at halftime. Just unfortunately we had an injury going into halftime, and he wasn't able to come back in the third quarter, and Bartlesville kind of put some distance on us. We brought him back in the fourth quarter, and he just couldn't move very well. I mean, he hit a couple baskets down the stretch from deep because he couldn't get open against the kid guarding him just because he had no movement. But it allowed us to get their best player off one of our shooters and get some scores. We got it back within 6 late. Just couldn't get over the hump. I mean, the injury, the game plan all week that we had worked on involved Cole Munch, and it just changed the perspective of the game.
Well, that was a team that beat you 27, and 5 days later they beat you 9. So obviously you had game planned. You really weren't too worried about that home game that you got beat, because all the eggs are in one basket. You had to go to Bartlesville. And as we talked about, that game was really close. I see where Bartlesville didn't make the state tournament, which surprised me a little bit.
No, they didn't make it. I talked to Tim, their coach. He said they didn't play very well. They didn't play very well in the regional finals, and they didn't play very well when they got to the area tournament. And this is not the time of year for a team to play bad. So. It's just one of those deals. You got to be hot at the right time, and like you said, all your eggs are in one basket, and just 2 or 3 mistakes can end it for you. I mean, a lot of times the best team doesn't win because they just don't play good. Unlike the small schools, especially when we get in that first round. I mean, it's a do or die situation where the small schools, 2A through 4A. If they lose that first game because they played bad, they got a chance to fight their way back through the losers bracket. And, that's one of the changes I'd like to see at the 5A, 6A level. I don't know if it will ever happen, but I know it's something the coaches committees have talked about numerous times, because there's been times that one of the top 4 seeds went down in the first round.
And there's a lot of talk about change, not only districts, but in that double elimination is kind of what you're talking about. And it really does penalize the team that's had a great season and they have a bad ball game. I looked at 5A girls, and there's 3 teams in the state tournament, 5A girls this year, that have 12 or more losses, which, again, it's not the best team. It's a team playing the best. You want to be one of those, but there could be another way to do it where you give everybody, after they've fought through a 25-game season, you give them a mulligan maybe to try to make sure you have the best 8 teams.
Well, it's really the system we have is an unfair system. We do it on the coaches' rankings, and a lot of the problems is we don't see a lot of the teams throughout the year that they're asking us to rank. We're looking at their records and we're looking who they played, but most of those teams in the eastern part of the state that we match up in the playoffs with, we don't even play any common opponents. Our schedule's so hodgepodge around the state. We go west, we go east, and we don't go to Tulsa very often, and so it's probably inherently unfair because we haven't seen each other and we don't know a whole lot about each other. So we're looking at scores, we're looking who they played, and different things like that. And I really feel like it affects us outlying schools like us and Enid, Stillwater, some of them to a degree. Stillwater plays a number of the Tulsa area teams because they go to the Bixby tournament and different things. But especially like us and Enid, we don't see any of those teams, and so that's why we're really pushing for the district format like every other sport in Oklahoma has. And then you know, in that district, you're gonna earn your spot in the playoffs. I mean, if you're the number 7 seed, that's where you're at because that's how you played in the regular season. And if you're the number 1 or 2 seed, you've earned that spot on the floor. So hopefully something will happen with that down the road. I mean, we're going to bring it up again this year. And, you know, the big question we want the OSA to answer is, you know, why is every other sport in a district and basketball's not in a district? You know, explain that to us. And, you know, I don't know what kind of explanation we'll get, but, you know, hopefully that change will come down the pike somewhere.
Well, I know it's good coaches like yourself that have improved your standing in the state. You know, you're not in a position of power, but you do oversee some regional business, all-state selection, some all-region selections. Dwight Wimburn is in a good spot too. Maybe Ponca City will have a voice that they haven't had in the past because of the position that you guys have got.
Well, you know, I've got a platform to stand on. You know, I'm an officer in the Oklahoma Basketball Coaches Association as the Region 2 representative. I've been the president of that association and things. So, you know, I've got a good relationship with the Oklahoma Secondary Activities Association. So, you know, I can talk to them, and, you know, I think they listen to what I'm trying to tell them and things. And, you know, it's just a hard process. You know, we're going through it in football right now about what we're going to do with this Class 6A, 7A thing. You know, I don't know what's going to come of that. You know, change doesn't come easily. I mean, you know, we don't like change. And, you know, a lot of times we sit there and we say, well, it's always been done this way and it's always worked, so, you know, why change it? But I think through change, you know, it'll be for the betterment of the game, and it'll be for the betterment of basketball in the state of Oklahoma. And, you know, that's what we're all about. I mean, you know, we want to make this as good of an experience for the kids as absolutely possible, and the fans that come to the games and things. So, you know, we're going to continue to push for it, and hopefully down the road we'll get something good.
Let's talk about Colt Hibler for a little bit. He played 104 high school basketball games, which if I kept records as closely as I should, he's got to go down as probably, as far as longevity. I don't remember us having ninth graders that played at that level very often. Devin Anderson, Justin Waller, a few ninth graders. First of all, his surgery. You mentioned that he's the last month of the season he's been playing with pain. You got him into surgery right after the last ball game.
Yeah, he played tore his ACL on January the 10th, and he played the last 14 games of the season on the torn ACL. And you know, it was a long process. You know, lots of nights with ibuprofen and ice on the knee and elevation and things, and just, you know, tons of treatment. I mean, treatment right before the game so we could get him on the court and stuff. So, you know, as his dad, you know, my hat goes off to him. I mean, one tough kid. And, you know, most of the people we talked to throughout the season after it happened, you know, they've had kids try to play on a torn ACL, and they just weren't able to play. So, you know, it was a true blessing from the good Lord that he was able to do that. And, you know, like you said, we had surgery just right after the season. You know, I'm fortunate that I have a cousin that's part of an orthopedic association, so we were able to slide him into surgery on Wednesday of this week. You know, he's back at school today, first day back, in a brace, which he'll be in for 4 weeks, and then he'll come out of it and get going. Rehab starts a week from today, 3 to 4 times a day, and you know, it's just going to be a long process. You know, they're hoping that he comes back and they're able to release him to start playing in 5 months. That's the goal. 6 months is normal, but they'd like to release him by August so he can get to where he's going to go next. I don't know where he's going to go. I mean, he's committed to Berkeley University up in Kansas, and he was actually supposed to sign with them the Thursday that we had the big snowstorm, and was out of school, and Coach Bryce from up there couldn't get here because it just blizzarded up in Kansas. But since then, Friday night after the Bartlesville game, Rogers State over in Claremore has begun to recruit him, and you know, tell his mom and I that they really want him. We don't know what the scholarship situation is going to be. That Coach Barkley over there wants to finish his season, and then they're going to bring him over, and you know, something's going to happen. So, You know, I would say it's probably narrowed down to those two places, Berkeley University or Rogers State University in Claremore. Don't know what he's going to do. It will be his choice. And we'll just try to give him guidance and things, and we don't care who he goes. I mean, he's had a dream of playing college basketball for his entire life, and you know, as his parents, we're just happy that he's going to get a chance to realize that dream and get a college education while doing something he really loves.
He could have opted to have surgery when he got the injury in January. That would have been one way he could have gone, but how difficult was that for him to say, I'm not going to do it, and then you to watch the process? Because it was, I saw some of it too. I mean, you saw a lot of times when he was in pain and he wanted to come out of the game, but the competitiveness wouldn't let him come out of ball games.
Well, you know, when they gave him the option, and I left it totally up to him, and when they gave him the option, he just told the doctor, there's no question I'm going to try to play. I mean, that was an easy decision for him. You know, sitting there watching him, I think it was harder on his mother than it was me, because, you know, being in athletics my whole life, I mean, I knew we were playing with fire, with him playing on it, that it could go at any time and be done. You know, we knew that risk going in, but, you know, he made up his mind he was going to play, and he made the sacrifices and did what he had to do to play. You know, it was heartbreaking against Bartlesville when he went down, and you know, when I got to him, the only thing he said was, I'm done, it's over. You know, and I knew it as soon as he landed and got up and was hurt that was it, that there was something else the matter in there, and it was a torn lateral meniscus is what happened when he came down and landed on it, just because he didn't have the support of the ACL. But you know, it was a joy to coach him for 4 years. I mean, there were a lot of good times, and the good times way outweigh the bad times with him. He's had an outstanding career, and you know, he's put in a lot of time to get to where he is and to get that chance.
We wish him good luck. You lose 6 seniors, though. This is a lot of rebounding, a lot of scoring, a lot of defense that you're going to have to replace in the future.
Well, you know, we're going to lose Cole Nemo, who's been a 2-year starter. His game has just really developed in the last couple years, and you know, he was just really solid at the end of last year and continued that through this year. I mean, that's really going to be hard to replace, because you know, he gave us 10 points a game, 6 or 7 rebounds a game. He always guarded the other team's best post player, and it's really hard to replace a kid like him. We also lose Jake Didlake, who emerged as our stopper on defense. You know, most times we put him on the other team's best player, and he just did a tremendous job. And I don't know who's going to pick up that slack next year. Right now, we don't have anybody. You know, somebody's going to have to emerge into that role and, you know, be willing to subjugate their offensive game a little bit to be that good on the defensive end. And, you know, somebody always does. It's a lot of times it's a surprise, and it has been throughout the years. I mean, Joe Freeze turned into one of those guys. Jesse Rich turned into one of those guys. So there's always somebody. We also lose Jordan Shook, who was just with us 1 year, and Jordan is a very viable offensive weapon. I mean, he had a quarter where he scored 20-plus points against Tahlequah this year. I mean, he was a threat to put the ball in the hole at any time. Really shot the three well. Great rebounder for us, and just took a lot of pressure off kids. And you know, that's another issue. And then you know, we also graduate Chris Rich and Austin Radka. So you know, there's a lot of holes to fill as we head forward. You know, we don't have a lot of them in the gym right now. They're out at track, or they're back at off-season football. We've got a couple playing tennis and things. So you know, we won't get them again until June, and in June we'll start that process of rebuilding this group. And you know, I'd like to think, for the most part, that we built the program solid enough on our fundamentals and our work ethic and things that you know, this team will develop. It's going to have to develop really quickly. I mean, we're fortunate. We have Robert Nanny back, who has been a starter off and on. Started every game this year, and he's a starter off and on as a sophomore. And then we have Caleb and Aaron Stemke back, and Scott Elston, who saw some good minutes this year. and then a couple sophomores, Michael Mongold and Adam Nicholas. I mean, they really came on. Michael was really, really good at the JV level about the last 3 weeks of the season. So, you know, I think those kids will continue to develop, and, you know, I think we'll have them ready to go next year. A lot of work ahead of us, but, you know, that's one of the fun parts, you know, the building of the team, the journey with that team as you put it together and things. And then, of course, you know, the other senior we lose is Cole. You know, that's possibly the hardest thing that we're going to have to replace, because he has been our primary ball handler. And, you know, we're going to have somebody step into that. He's led us in assists the last 2 years as far as creating shots for other people. And, you know, we may have to do that by committee. I mean, right now we don't have anybody that's that solid with the basketball. And, you know, it'll work out. I mean, we went by committee when he went down. I mean, we played Jake Didlake at the point some. We played Jordan Shook at the point some. We actually played Cole Nemo at the point some. And, you know, we'll just figure it out. I mean, we'll take the other team's worst defender and we'll advance the ball with that guy's guy. And, you know, I'm looking forward to next year. I mean, it's always tough when you end the year, and especially to lose a bunch of seniors like we're losing. But, you know, every basketball program goes through that, and we're going to take these kids that we got coming back, and, you know, we'll add some sophomores to the program next year, and we'll start all over from scratch like we do every year, and put this year in the rearview mirror and start on that next year. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I just feel so fortunate to be the coach at Ponca City High School. I'm really blessed to be in this position. I've got great administration that I work for, from Dr. Pennington on down. Our athletic director, Dwight Winburn, just bends over backwards to help us in any way possible. And then, you know, our whole coaching staff, I mean, they work so well together and things. You know, I'm just blessed to be here. I mean, this is a great place to work. It's a great community. Our student body is really, really behind our basketball team, and you know, they come out and support us and the kids, and they're loud, and you know, it's just a fun job to get up and go to work every day. And you know, there's a lot of people that I know they get up and they got to go to work and they say, oh man, but you know. I get up every morning, and I'm thankful that I get to come. I enjoy the kids, and you know, it's as long as it's like that, I'm going to continue to do this, because you know, it's a fun job.
Absolutely. Thanks for the memories this year. Now let's real quickly move on. I'm asking you kind of an unfair question because you're a boys track coach, but and by the way, March 28th is the basketball banquet to honor all these kids. I want to make sure people put that on their calendars. Track season is here. We've already had one postponement because of the weather, but just maybe a thought on the upcoming track season.
Well, I know you know, numerous assistant coaches are out there. The kids have been working really hard. Last week they were in the gym running almost every day because the weather wouldn't allow us to get outside. But you know, we've got some good kids coming back off last year's team. We've got some state qualifiers. Our 2-mile relay, we have 3 of those 4 back that qualified for the state track meet. We have a pole vaulter back on the boys' side that qualified for the state track meet. A couple throwers on the girls' side, Sierra Gray in the distance events. So we've got some really good kids out there. They're working really hard right now. We're really looking forward to getting started. I mean, Coach McHenry, Coach Cheney, Coach Darnell, Coach Jones, the coaches that are, Coach Landis, that are out there working with those kids right now, just have really good things to say about them and their work ethic and how they're carrying forward. So, you know, I'm trying to wind up the basketball season so I can get out there. A little bit behind. I was out of school last week 3 days with the surgery on Cole and stuff. But, you know, we're looking forward to it. We're hoping we get some good weather. We have a couple track meets coming up that we're going to host here. We have our junior high track meet in April. We have our high school track meet in April. Not really positive on the dates with those laying in front of me, but when we talk again before, as track season gets going, I'll have those dates. And it looks like we're going to get to host a regional meet. And you really need to come out and see that if you got an opportunity, because track and field is probably sport in its purest form. dating all the way back to the early Olympics. And it's just fun to watch the athletic ability and the things that kids can do out there on the track and with the high jump, the long jump, the pole vault. These kids put a lot of work in, and track's a lot of effort. It's not a glory sport. I mean, it's not covered by the newspapers. It's not covered by the television stations and things like basketball and football are. So these kids are out there because they love what they do. They work really hard at it, and we're looking forward for a good year. We're hoping the weather's nice like it was last year. That's always an if in track season, but I like the group we have out there. I like the work ethic and things, and we'll try to just build on it and get them ready for the regional track meet and qualify as many kids as we can for the state track meet.
Very good. Hey, thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. Basketball track coach Alan Hibler on this week's Coach's Corner.